we're talking about overcoming injuries and training around them. If you want a breakthrough in another sport, you can focus on that.
There's so many questions out of all of that.
So many choices today. Morning, Trainiacs. I want to say that I have training around this injury just dialed right in. Solid water run yesterday, and I got a good schedule dialed in. A really good one. That was short and awful. That was good. That was really good. Big breakthrough with what Coach Pat told me on Friday. We'll talk about that another day. Make sure you're subscribed if you don't want to miss that. But today, we're talking about overcoming injuries and training around them. So over the last month or so, the biggest thing that I struggled with was not having my regular routine. Have a heel injury, can't run. There's 4 runs in the schedule throughout the week. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? So basically during those 4 run slots, I was sitting there twiddling my thumbs. I'm like, oh, I gotta go. And that led to me wanting to run and actually ending up running and re-injuring myself earlier on. So the first tip I'll give you is if you're injured, make sure that as soon as you can fill up that schedule again and get into a regular routine so that you're not sitting there like sad because you can't run or you can't swim or you can't bike. Everything that I'm about to say is predicated on that first and foremost. I'm serious. That swim, like 12 to 15 seconds faster over a 300. You'll want to subscribe and hear this. I'm not ready to face the outside yet. No. It's bad. It's really bad. Let's just assume that you have to fill your schedule back up because you're not just going to take outright rest all the time because that starts playing with your brain. Now what you can do when you've got an injury is fill up your schedule with other sports. I remember 2 years ago I had some serious shoulder pain and I couldn't swim a lot, so I filled all of those workouts with biking, and that 2 years ago was when I had a big bike breakthrough. Dropped back down to regular schedule, and all of a sudden I still kept a lot of that bike fitness that I built up by biking 5-6 days a week. You want a breakthrough in another sport? You can focus on that. It's a really good time to do it when you're injured in one. All right, I'm going out there. I'm doing this. I can do this. I can do this. Oh my God, you guys, this is heckin' awful. Anyone in Southern California want to trade? Winters, am I right, Pete? So the next thing that you can do to fill out that schedule is if you don't want to just beef up on one of the other sports, you can actually develop skills for the sport that you're injured in. So let's say in the case of running, like right now, the things that I'm focusing on are like foot stability, body structure, body awareness, body balance. I'm going to be getting an agility ladder, and when HQ is done and I've got room in there, I'm going to spread out an agility ladder to be able to get off the ground a lot quicker. So I'm also doing things like one-legged balances and just kind of chilling out on one leg or closing my eyes on one leg. Ooh. And that agility ladder will help with more body awareness. So it's not like I'm completely ignoring running. I'm just filling that time with things that are building the ability to run. In swimming, you can back off, and instead of doing intense swimming, you do drills and work on some technique issues. On the bike, you can do like one-legged drills. Bike is a fair bit harder because to get better at biking, you can't just bike. But this allows you to keep progressing in that sport without completely ignoring it. Some options. I know that I just came home, but I pretty much now have to go right out after getting a coffee. Is it me? Or does it seem like you're just here? Just here. The next way that you can fill that schedule is how I'm doing now, is by substituting whatever sport you're injured in with rebuilding basically your body structure. So I'm injured right now. I'm spending more time focused on strength, heavy deads, yo. Gonna get myself up to 225 pounds today. Pounds! It's 1.5 Tarens. Or you do other like cross training that doesn't have to be heavy strength work, but things that make you a better all-around athlete. So I'm thinking about cross-country skiing, or if you like playing soccer back in the day, do that. Keep active. Like, make sure you fill that schedule and don't just let yourself stagnate, because that's when you're gonna get into a funk. You can get whiny. I got whiny. All right, I gotta bang out this workout damn quick. So the reason that I had to hurry up on that workout is because we have a podcast with Brad Culp. Now, if you listen to the podcast that went up yesterday with Danielle Dingman, she was the victim of an online Twitter attack, caused me to be a little bit disheartened with the online community in triathlon, and largely Brad Culp was the Twitter ringleader, and we got him on the podcast to defend his stance on bashing Danielle Dingman for being a first-year pro and starting a GoFundMe campaign to fund that. I don't see what the problem is. Let's see what Brad has to say. Right, NTK? Mm-hmm. Good response. Great response. Thoughtful. Our guest today is Brad Culp, who, if you heard our podcast with Danielle Dingman just a couple of days ago, she was the victim of an online Twitter attack for starting a GoFundMe campaign to fund her first year of half Ironman pro racing. And Brad Culp is kind of looked at as sort of the ringleader of that Twitter attack. So we decided to give him a platform to chat about his take on why what went on actually went on. What do you have to say about that, NTK?
I think it was a great idea to let the other side of the story be heard, because as a former journalist, I know that you must tell both sides of the story. I have so many questions out of all of that.
This is like all of her news spidey senses going like, oh my God, something interesting in triathlon.
Yeah,
Can you
exactly.
believe it?
We're not just talking about bike parts. Awesome.
I'm going to ask a question here, Brad, and I'll preface it by saying that this is going to come across as angry or trying to get you here, but basically the same thing that Danielle did, starting an online campaign to raise funds to make a living doing triathlon. Where's the difference? And that is how you podcast about actual news in triathlon.
That was interesting and fun.
We're like journalists. Go check it out.
I think Brad might
Links
not like
below.
me anymore. Not that he did from the start, but I don't think he does now.
We'll find out.